I really like my Sanrenmu knives. You guys know that. Hi guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and we're looking at the 7023. Yes, this is a buck look-alike, and this style comes in a couple of different sizes, maybe 3 from buck, and it comes in 2 different sizes from Sanrenmu as well. We've got a steel handle, frame lock with a stainless steel blade, drop point, hollow grind, and pocket clip, tip down pocket clip, but I don't really mind tip down, and a lot of other guys, the more they think about it, the more they use it, they don't mind it either. And then there's other people that just really totally hate, tip down pocket clips, and I get that, that's no problem. But if you don't mind, you just might want to consider getting this little guy. And I'm going to show you why. So stick around for the full review of the 7023. It does come in other colors as well, other handle treatments. Stick around. Okay, so when you get this knife, you get it like this. And you've got this section up here that's, I believe that's bead blasted. And then you've got your satin side, and you've got those words, stainless steel folding knife. So silly. I would think they could sell a whole lot more knives if they didn't have that on there, to be honest with you. Open pillar construction, and those are little hourglass shaped pillars there. Kind of nice. And up here you've got a stop pin, and the stop pin is a just sort of a pin that just rests in there. It doesn't screw in on either side. These are the 2 screws plus the pivot, and that's it. And well, you've got 3 screws for your thumb studs, for your pocket clip. Oh, I really do know how to mix those 2 words up, don't I? The thumb studs are up here. They're a good thumb stud. Let's take a look at some of these things. Pocket clip. You can see that it's got a nice Torx construction there. And, it screws in to those 3 holes, holds quite well. And that's where your stop pin sits in. And there's your frame lock arm. And it's got a little bit of a cutout right there. And then it's bent to behave like a spring. So it's constantly pulling, whoops, hitting the camera. It's constantly pulling that way to engage with the blade tang right here. And that's what you push over to unlock the knife. This little ball right here, that's what they call the detent. That's what holds the knife blade in right there. That sucking in action is this hole on the blade right there coming in contact with that detent, and that it slides in and it touches that detent, and that's what holds it in place. So that's the detent system. Nice steel ball, and it slides along that line that you have on the blade right there. Since we've got it apart and showing you, it's got dual kind of washer system. It's got this black nylon, which is a little bit thicker, and I'll do a close-up picture of that for you. And then this super thin phosphor bronze washer. It's kind of weird. It's got those 3 little notches in it. So you've got that little black washer there, and then you've got this really thin phosphor bronze as well. And between all of those things, it actually pivots very, very well. Like the action, very, very smooth. It flies open with very little effort. And it's just, the action on this thing is awesome. For a little knife, it's just great. Detent, as I showed you, works very well and holds it very well. If you're left-handed, you don't have very much clearance to get into it to open it up, but as you can see, it's not hard at all to open it. And once you're used to it, even with the pocket clip in the way, you can flip open the knife and use it that way. It's just a little bit more difficult because the access is really tricky with the thumb stud with the pocket clip in the way, and the access of the thumb stud being right next to the frame lock there, as you can see on this side, they give you much more room. So the world is designed for right-handed people. I'm left-handed, but I decided to become ambidextrous through a lot of effort over a long period of time, and I'm very thankful I did that. Because now I can enjoy knives with both hands, especially since almost all of them are made for right-handed people. I like that it's got flush screws, so the screws are just flush with the side. So when you look at it that way, there's nothing standing out. It's flush on the sides, very nice. And if we take a look at this, what I decided to do is I wanted to see what it would do if I just very quickly sanded it down. And what I did was I took everything out, took all the stuff off. I took these screws out as well. So I just had this plate, and I took some fine sandpaper and I started sanding it and sanding it and sanding it. And I did not go very long. And, I got off most of that burnished, or what do you call that section? That dark gray section there, that came off quite easily. And the rest came down quite easily. I don't think it would take very much longer before I could get the whole thing just satin. And, if I finish this off, it all depends on how much time I have, right? If I finish this off and I make it look really, really good, which if I used mechanical means, I could go much faster, and I might try that. I recorded this part later on, and you saw that I had two of them. Well, this is what it looks like now. Really nice light stone wash. What I did was I took the knife apart, just had this scale, brought it into my shop, mounted it onto another piece of steel using some magnets, neodymium, super strong magnets. And I took my palm sander with some 200 grit sandpaper, 220 grit, whatever it was, sanded it nice and clean. And then I put it into my, what's the name called? Stonewash agitation device. And this is what I use to do my stone washing. Got this machine. It's just a vibration machine, and those are ceramic. And I've got some ball bearings in there as well. Yeah, there's one. So you can see that those are cut on an angle, and it just shakes like crazy and makes a truckload of noise. And I got mine from Canadian Tire, Mastercraft, pretty cheap. And I shook it in there for 6 hours, and it came out like this. And it is beautiful, if you ask me. So when you have the choice, let's close this up so I don't cut myself. Between these two knives, which one would you use? If you don't like these and you want to use a different, what I'm trying to say is there are different models of the 70-32-23, the 70-23 that have different finish on them. I'll show you a picture of the one that GearBest has. So you've got that one. You could try that instead of this satiny color, and then you don't have that issue of those words on there. I just find it really weird. There's a number of knives that Sanrenmu has done that's got weird words on it like that. So other than the pocket clip being tipped down right side only, I really wish they would have done a tip up. The only other thing that's kind of odd on here is there's no lanyard hole, and it would be really nice if they had a lanyard hole, but you can always just tie some paracord, on this last pivot barrel right there, tie it nice and snug, and then it works very good that way. Let's push these to the side because I think I'm done demonstrating what the knife looks like. Well, one other thing that you can see right here is you've got a really big sharpener's choil right there, and it's a very shallow choil. So what we've got is a spot on the blade here that's been ground out. You can see how it's flat there. So it doesn't really fit a finger to put in there. It's a good little knife. Let's talk about all the sizes on it for you so you guys can see that stuff. So the cutting edge is 6 centimeters. That's 2.36 inches. Blade length is 6.85 centimeters. So tip of the blade to the handle right there, that's 2.7. The blade thickness is 2.43 millimeters, which is 0.0955 inches, so almost 1/10 of an inch right there. The blade depth, and I'm measuring it right here between this thumb and this index finger in my right hand, 2.13 centimeters, that's 0.839 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, and we've got a nice full depth hollow grind. So the hollow grind goes right to the spine of the blade. That is awesome. It's 0.35 millimeters, which is 0.0135 inches. So that really thin edge behind the grind, and I have not sharpened either one of these knives, this one or the one I took apart. It's just awesome, and it slices very, very well. It's a really, really nice knife that way because of how thin it is behind the grind. And then what else do we have here? We've got the handle. Handle length is 9.52 centimeters. That's 3.75 inches. The grip area is 7.25 centimeters, which is 2.85 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, is 8.4 millimeters. That's 0.331 inches, so 1/3 of an inch thick. The handle depth right here in the middle is the widest spot, 2.2 centimeters. That's 0.8645 inches. And the total length of this knife open, I forgot to convert it to inches. You'll see the inches on the screen right here. 16.37 centimeters, and then the inches are here. How much does this knife weigh? 88 grams, 3.05 ounces. So a 3-ounce knife where you've got a blade that's under 3 inches. It's easily under 3 inches, so you got no problem there. Comfortable. It doesn't look too dangerous. Well, this doesn't look dangerous at all. But you've got a comfortable knife. You can get it in a couple different colors. It's a good little knife to carry around to EDC. If you, even if you live in a jurisdiction where you can have large knives, I tend to carry a knife like this plus a big knife like this at the same time. I did the review of this Ganzo 716, very, very recently, or it's going to come out after this one. I'm not sure what order I'm going to do it in. So I usually have a big knife like this on my person and a smaller knife like this on my person as well. Plus, I often have a keychain knife. I kind of like knives. But this is for, the big hard work, and this is for your average tasks. So many of your EDC tasks that you face all day long can be handled by a small knife like this very, very easily, no problem at all. And that's what I tend to pull out. So, I don't scare people on needlessly, and I just use something like this. Most websites say that this is 8CR13 MOV steel. Some of the 7023s claim to be 8CR14 MOV, so very similar steel. So Rockwell about 57. So nice thin grind that way. With 8CR13 and this super thin behind the edge kind of grind, I wouldn't be trying to do super hard stuff. You might roll the edge, but for your average light EDC tasks that you normally face with a small knife like this, perfectly adequate. And everything else, just do a very nice slicing cut, and it's not going to harm the edge anywhere near as easily as a really hard push kind of cut. Let's cut a few things and see how it goes. I'm not going to do an awful lot of a cut test, just something quick and easy. Here's a couple layers of paracord, and it just slides through that so very easily because of how light it is. And this is 7-strand paracord, nice strong paracord. We've got this stuff. This is a, what's the name of this rope? The capital of the Philippines, Manila rope, and cuts through that quite easily. Good strong blade, and from the factory, it's sharp enough to cut straight down into the edge of paper. A lot of knives can't do that. And of course, slicing action, very, very simple all day long. And that's in large part because of how thin it is behind the grind. It makes that edge super sharp. Very, very nice. Easy to sharpen at home. Cool little knife. What are the cons on this thing? I wish they would have put a lanyard hole. I really do. Some of you guys are going to find that the pocket clip not being tip up at all is a con. It doesn't bother me at all, but some of you guys, that's a big deal. Other than that, not much at all other than this cosmetic stuff with writing on the blade. Writing on the handle, silly stuff like stainless steel folding knife. That's just silly. Cool knife. Yes, originally this was a Buck design, and I'll give you a link to some of the Buck knives that look like this if you're interested in getting their stuff. But from Sanrenmu, if you want to save a lot of money, this little guy is quite cheap. I'll put the prices across the screen right here, and you can pick one up if you want to. I've got links down below in the description. You can go get them. If you use my links, it helps out my channel. I get a tiny bit of a commission, and every little bit of money that comes in helps me either to buy some more knives or helps pay for things like lights for this video. See, I've got a light up there. I've got a light over there. And I've got another light back there shining on here. I've got to pay for the camera. That's right up there. And, you know, everything costs money. And the video editing, you know, it's free to watch YouTube. It's free to upload a video to YouTube. But to make videos, it is not very cheap. So thank you to all my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you to everybody who uses my links when you make a purchase. You guys are awesome. And for simply making a comment, that's great. That helps out the analytics. Ask a question, click that thumbs up, whatever you do as you interact with my video. That stuff is all very helpful. So thank you very much, guys. I want you to remember, when you're using a knife, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.